Marin County Civic Center is home to the local sheriff's office. The futuristic contours of this Frank Lloyd Wright designed building make a suitable setting for one of the most unusual partnerships in crime detection. Sergeant Richard Keaton is a homicide detective with 30 years experience on the force. For most of the time, he uses traditional methods of investigation, but when he hits a dead end, he resorts to supernatural powers. He calls in a psychic investigator.
I have chosen not to ask how, but to take what she gives and go with it. How she actually obtains it, I don't know. But I don't question it because I've seen too many successes. There have been cases where we have no answers because we probably don't have the wherewithal to be able to answer all of the things that she's given us.
His psychic partner is Annette Martin. Annette has had strange powers since childhood. She began helping police back in 1971. Since then, she's worked for over a dozen law enforcement agencies, including the FBI.
When Annette comes into our department, we normally sit in a nice quiet office. I give her a brief outline of what this case was. From that point on, Annette then concentrates, goes into her mental meditation, and starts to share with us verbally the things that she's seen or perceived.
I become a part of the entire scene. I become a part of the victim. I become a part of the suspect. I become also the outsider watching. And what occurs in all of this is that I see pictures, I hear conversations, I taste things, I smell things, and I feel things. So all of my other five senses become extremely acute.
To help her in her meditation, the police often take Martin to the crime scene.
In many cases, being physically present at the scene enhances Annette's ability. And at the scene, we will ask her to describe what happened when she saw where the evidence was. And she's able to replay that for us, almost like a videotape being replayed of a movie.
Green, once just a simple couple.
We set up our own test of Joe McMonaugle's remarkable claims with a simple experiment. At an agreed time, from his home in Virginia, McMonagle would attempt to remotely view a secret location we chose halfway across the world. McMonagle's task? To pinpoint where this man was at a given time somewhere in Europe. The target location was unknown to McMonagle or anyone connected with him. All he had to go on was a photograph of the man and his own psychic vision. McMonagle picks up mental fragments of information, sights, sounds, even smell. He begins sketching.
Well, first thing I'm getting is sort of getting a sense of some kind of an overhang thing like this. Again, I get an impression of a very large overhang. Probably is adjacent to either a subway within this complex is probably a chapel, maybe, or a small church within the complex itself.
McMonagall got many elements of the location right. It was the ultra-modern Stansted Airport near London, England. But in spite of drawing something a lot like a jet engine, McMonagall didn't get the airplanes. Not a conclusive experiment, but enough to make you wonder. Psychokinesis allows the mind to control objects by force of will alone. But researchers claim such power is only the first step to controlling the minds and bodies of people.
I think in the future, if we were to become more able to affect matter and energy with our minds directly, people will be able to move objects, perhaps certainly affect themselves quite a bit. And if you can affect objects, you might be able to affect directly other people.
It's called telekinesis. Psychic investigator Lloyd Auerbach has seen telekinesis at work. He believes it's an extension of the kind of power used the world over by spiritual or psychic healers.
The only thing about psychic healing is where the healing is coming from. There are some experiments that indicate that healers really do have an effect on tissue samples, blood samples, things like that. But it's very clear that a person cannot get healed unless they want to get healed. Doctors know this. Healers know this. A psychic healer can't forcibly heal someone, and they can't affect someone without the person knowing that they're being healed unless the person, again, wants to be healed, wants to get better.
Years of study has led Auerbach to conclude if the healing is to work, the patient must somehow collaborate with the healer at a deeply subconscious level. But does science support his claim? This man is trying to influence the heart rate of a subject hundreds of yards away simply by using his mind. And he succeeded. It seems incredible, but mind control over another person's body has actually been achieved at this lab in Nevada.
We designed a series of experiments to look at the possibility that consciousness may be able to, in some way, reach out and cause changes in the physical condition of people.
On a random basis, one volunteer is told when to influence the heart rate of another volunteer and when to stop. The results are startling.
What we're finding is that during the treatment periods, that things like autonomic nervous system activity generally, specifically galvanic skin response, heart rate, muscle tension, are reduced as compared to the control periods where people are functioning at their normal physiological rate.
In the wrong hands, telekinesis could become a deadly weapon. Imagine a future where assassins could hunt down their victims just by thinking about them. There'd be no escape, nowhere to hide. A scene like this could become as common as any serious street crime. But for psychic investigator Lloyd Auerbach, at least, there is a way of beating the assassin's icy stare. The secret is a belief in your own self-worth. You have to know you're better than the other guy.
What's been shown across the board is that someone with really good self-esteem, with a really good ego, you're not going to have a problem with facing psychic attack. And of course, if they have the abilities themselves, they'll have no problem whatsoever in worrying about whether someone else can do damage to them, short of using a gun or a knife. And then, of course, being psychokinetic, you could possibly stop the bullet.
In the film Carrie, a girl uses psychokinetic powers to take revenge on her teenage tormentors. Now, some scientists believe such power may be within our grasp without us even knowing.
No, under 100. Come on, above 100.
This woman is no latter-day Carrie, but she may have psychic powers. She's one of a group of volunteers taking part in a bizarre experiment. What these volunteers are doing is searching for the secret of mind over matter.
They speak of being on the same wavelength or being in tune with the machine. They draw analogies between how it might feel to play a musical instrument or to drive a car, where the machine and the human become a single operating system.
So what are the volunteers doing? It's simple. They're trying to make a computer generate numbers above or below 100 by willpower alone.
It's as if you flipped 200 coins. On average, you should get 100 heads. But sometimes you'll get a 92, sometimes you'll get 103. But as you generate more and more of these trials, the average should come closer to 100. So what these people are doing is they're sitting there observing these numbers coming up, and they're trying to get more heads or more tails, depending on their pre-recorded intention.
The experiment is based here at Princeton, but intriguingly, it could be anywhere, for the powers displayed have no range limit.
We did carry out experiments where we put the person in the next room, we put them down the hall, we had them down the block, and ultimately we had them around the world. And we saw no difference in the effects than what we saw when the operator was sitting right there. It doesn't seem to matter whether the operator is 3 feet from the machine or 5,000 miles away. The effects look very much the same.
Princeton's Engineering Anomalies Research Lab has run millions of the random number trials. They've found that human beings can influence the machines with their willpower alone. Physics professor Bob John.
There is no doubt that we are seeing a small but statistically consistent effect of the influence of human operators' intention on the performance of these simple devices.